Ay 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 dil ay 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 la 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 ay la 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 di la 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 ay la 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 di la 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 ay la 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 ay la 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 Avinu Malkeinu Eilanu Melech Eilanu Melech Elota Avinu Malkeinu Eilanu Melech Eilanu Melech Elota ay la 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 ay la 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 ay la la ay la la ay la la You have enough light, Michal? Oh, somebody's at the door. Michal, what page are we on?
I believe we finished 302. We're ready to start 303.
Huh?
Oh, she's not here yet, but
Oh, Sarah?
yeah.
Page 303. Oh, there you are. You didn't come in together?
We did.
Oh. You shut the door, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. Zakat HaKatar HaKdosha. Page 302. לפעמים עדיף להתקדם לאט. Sometimes it's better to make progress slowly, right? The tortoise and the hare. אם מעולם לא למדת מילה אחת, if you never learned a single word, כמובן שאינך יכול ללמוד את כל הש"ס בלילה אחד, so then obviously you can't learn the entire Talmud in one night. אבל כשמדברים על היחס הפנימי שלי לבורא עולם, but when we're talking about my inner relationship with the creator of the world, או על היחס הפנימי שלי לכל העולם, or my inner relationship with the whole world, אני לא יכול להתקדם לאט. I can't have the luxury of progressing slowly, אני חייב לעשות שינוי גמור בבת אחת. I have to make a complete change at once. In other words, an inner change completely at once. שמעתי מהרבי מבובב, I heard from the Baba Rebbe שאחרי פטירת הרבי הקדוש והמתוק מצאנז, that after the holy sons were passed away, ישבו חסידיו יחד עם רבי שלמה מבובב. The Hasidim were sitting together with Reb Shlomo Bobover, סבו של הרבי הנוכחי, the grandfather of the present Bobover Rebbe. So this teaching was given a while ago when the previous Bobover Rebbe was alive still. So אמר אחד החסידים, one of the Hasidim said, אני יכול להישבע, I can swear that שמחר בבוקר השמש לא תזרח. I can swear that tomorrow morning the sun is not going to shine. השמש לעולם לא תשוב לזרוח, the sun is never going to shine again. כי בלי הרבי מצאנז אין עוד עולם, because without the sons of Rebbe there's no more world. העולם יפסיק להתקיים. He was so, the Rebbe, the sons of Rebbe meant everything in the world to him, and he couldn't imagine the world existing without the Rebbe. And now, so what happened was, this Chassid Zaken Acher Kam V'Amar, so another elderly Chassid got up and said, Ani Yehudi Zaken, I'm an old Yid. Ksharabbi Lublin niftar, and when the Lubliner Rebbe was passed away, החסידים אמרו שהם יכולים להישבע שמחר בבוקר השמש לא תזרח. The Hasidim of the Lubliner also said the same thing, that they were ready to swear that the sun wasn't going to rise the next morning. אבל אין זו אמת, but that's not the truth. השמש תזרח, the sun will shine, תמיד יהיו צדיקים, there will always be tzadikim. ענה ואמר רבי שלמה מבובב, so the Bobover Rebbe said, אולי יהיו צדיקים, maybe there will be tzadikim. ואולי הם יהיו מספיק צדיקים, and maybe there will be enough tzadikim, שהשמש תזרח בעבורם, that the sun will shine for their sake. אבל אין כמו הסבא הקדוש הרבי מצאנז, but there's no one that's comparable to the sons of Rebbe. And he tells the story, כשהיינו נוסעים ברכבת מקרקוב לצאנז, when we would be traveling from Krakow to Sanz, מהלך שעה וחצי בערך, a distance of a trip of an hour and a half, היינו יושבים ברכבת, we would be sitting in the train, פתאום נהג הקטר מכריז, תחנה הבאה צאנז. And then the engineer of the locomotive would announce, תחנה הבאה צאנז, the next stop is צאנז. ברגע זה, ממש הבכיות הגיעו עד לב השמיים. As soon as the Hasidim would hear the announcement that the next stop is Tzanz, everybody started crying like crazy. כי ידעו כולם, page 304, כי ידעו כולם שכאשר עומדים לפני הרבי מצאנז, everybody knew that when you were in front of the sons of Rebbe, הוא יודע את כל מה שהם עשו. He knew everything that everybody had done. את כל מה שהם היו אמורים לעשות ולא עשו, and that he was perfectly aware of everything that they were supposed to do and hadn't done. רבי שלמה מבובב המשיך ואמר, and the Bobover Rebbe said, התשובה הגדולה ביותר שעשיתי, my biggest tshuva that I would do was, הייתה כשהנהג צעק צאנז, was when the train conductor announced Tzanz, that was my biggest moment of tshuva. רבותיי, שמעתי מהרבי מבובב. So what I heard from the Bobover Rebbe was, Shlomo says, שבחודש אלול נהג הקטר מכריז, that during Elul, the train conductor is continuously announcing, תחנה הבאה ראש השנה. Next stop, Rosh Hashanah. Right? Okay, so So there is, there is step-by-step tshuva, and then there's fact is, Rosh Hashanah is going to come, right? We're going to stand in front of the Rebbeinu Shalom and the Simcha, right? We're going to stand before God with joy, right? All this forums speak about how Rosh Hashanah, we dress up in white garments. People think that when we put on white garments, it's to remind us of the day of death, but the truth is that the white garments, it's like symbols of purity, right? Kala puts on a white dress.
That's the reason why convictions are white, because the mace is considered.
They did a tahara. I don't know. That might be a different reason. I mean, there is also the Indian of wearing a kittel, like to remember the day of death and so on. But we celebrate Yom Tov. It's Yom Hadin. We're standing in front of God. God is judging what's going to happen this coming year, and the Novi tells us, be happy, because we trust that Hashem is going to give us a good year. Once heard from Rabbi Wolfson a parable like this, that in a certain country the king had the custom that on the day of his coronation he would review every year. On the day he said that he was celebrating his coronation, he would review all the list of prisoners that were in prison, and either they were liberated or they were executed. There was no such thing as hanging around in jail for 20 years. Okay. So one night, the prison guard is walking around and he sees this prisoner is dancing, and this is the night before before he's either going to be released or before he's going to death. So the guard says to him, "Are you crazy? They might kill you tomorrow." So he says, "I know, but I'm going to get to stand in front of the king." So the guard was so impressed, and he passed on the word to the king, and the king said, if that's the case, he deserves to live. And that's the same thing over here. Is that, in other words, we're happy that we're standing in front of the king, the king of all kings of kings, Kodesh Baruch Hu, and we trust that Hashem is going to give us a good year. Now, but still, it's still like during Elul, like we gotta get ourselves ready to realize it's not so pushing to stand in front of the king. Local kafashut, The by the way, if you go to the website of Meaningful Life Center, Simon Jacobson published a book a number of years ago. It's called 60 Days. And he's sending out, you can sign up, he's sending out a daily lesson. So now he should be up to day 15 or day 16. It's daily things to prepare yourself for Rosh Hashanah all the way till the end of Sukkot, till Hoshana Rabbah.
Yeah, it's Tishrei.
And the Tishrei, 60 days, yeah. Meaningful Life Center. Simon Jacobson, Simon. Simon.
He's writing.
Yeah, you've seen his book, Towards a Meaningful Life, and so on. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so what we learned yesterday, right, about the tshuva that's like a big leap versus the step-by-step tshuva, and in other words, basically what was being said and what's being said now is that there's a need to be able to do, there's a need for both. There's a need for the step-by-step tshuva, and there's a need for the for the big leap. Here's a safer. There's a need for the big leap. If you need more light, Shiva, the switches are over there.
When you say the big leap, it reminds me of the phrase leap of faith.
Yeah, that's the idea.
Where you're not afraid.
It's a leap. It's a leap. It's a leap.
Either you're going to fall and smash, or you're going to learn to float.
The Raj gave an excellent shir yesterday. You guys were jet lagged good. You can see it online. Huh?
Okay.
I'm just telling you, you can see it
On
online.
the YouTube channel?
Shiva Simcha Shlomo. You were here. It was a great shir.
It was really
It was amazing.
With what wrote was
Last night.
Yeah.
Last night. So you should watch it. It's really worth it. And basically it was saying from Rav Nachman, that everything begins and ends with emunah. It's all, without the emunah, you're just a prisoner of everything worldly. Okay? And there's certain things where without a leap of faith, it just doesn't work.
What's an example of that?
A leap of faith, getting married. Right?
That's beautiful.
The having a child. In other words, to make, in other words, the first step is a leap of faith, basically. You understand? In other words, do I want to accept the Torah? It's nasa b'nishma. It's a leap of faith. Okay? It's not like let me think about it. Maybe yes, maybe no. I'll debate it, and so on. It's nasa b'nishma. We got to get going, right? Sure, am I having a look to see who's in the kitchen? Yeah. And if it gets too noisy there, you can shut that down. Oh, she's going to come back and say Elio and nothing. Huh?
Really?
I heard somebody.
Yeah.
Someone did come in.
Yeah.
Someone came in with the key.
Yeah, nobody. It's okay.
I mean,
Nobody's there now. Okay.
You heard the footsteps of the
You know the story about how many Jews can hide under the Oren Kodesh?
I don't know.
I think I've heard this one, but I can't.
10,000.
10,000.
Did you ever see that? Anybody there? See these works?
What? 10,000 people can get underground and
Hiding.
We're talking about an ordinary one Kodesh or
Yeah. Ordinary Oren Kodesh. Did you ever see 10,000 hidden under the Oren Kodesh? See how well hidden they are?
I understand
Gotcha.
now.
that's definitely a gotcha.
I understand now that when I'm going to go over what I learned today, I'll only remember that 10,000 even can fit underground.
Okay, Yetziat Mitzrayim, page 305. I'm sorry, Kol Yisrael Yafim, page 304. So Rav Shlomo, yesterday, when we were learning yesterday, the last thing he ended up saying was that if you go to the Kotel, and after being at the Kotel, you still don't see the beauty of every single Yid, then it's okay. You don't see the beauty of every single Yid, then that means that you didn't really receive that high level tshuva, that high level illumination that you got to see how everything is really good and everything is beautiful, right? You didn't get that high level illumination that inspires you to be a part of everything, not to be separate from anything. And that's the kind of illumination that is not a step-by-step thing. And so that's when you get that. Now, what we were learning in the last few weeks was that the other levels of tshuva, the more down-to-earth basic levels of tshuva, have to be done, and probably have to be done before you get that higher worldly level of like that illumination of seeing that everything is really beautiful and so on. In other words, your own personal vessel has to be cleaned up before you can receive such a big light. Because if you don't have your own vessel cleaned up, the big light might be there, but sometimes it'll come to you anyway. But for sure you can see the truth is that there's always free choice. Okay? Question is asked, how could Adam Harishon, how could he have eaten from the tree of knowledge? Mele Chava, she didn't hear God's voice directly, right? She didn't hear God's voice directly. Who told her that she can't eat from the tree? Her husband, right? But Adam Harishon heard directly from Hashem. How could he have done it? And not only that, how could he have done it? It was on the same day, right? It was the same day that he was told not to do it. That's when he did it. How could you do that? The answer is that no matter what, Hashem gives you free choice. Understand that if you're being told you can be told directly by Hashem, even though Hashem is telling you directly, you're still going to have free choice. So it means to say basically that you can have the highest inspiration, but you have to know how to hold on to it. You can have a great inspiration, and if your vessels are not prepared to hold on to it, it's a real problem. Okay? So what's the point of getting such an inspiration? The point is at least it's a gift from heaven that at least you know which direction to head in. Okay?
What about, let's say, a lot of Yidden who will follow everything, so to speak, they're clean, but they're not really inspired in the first place to do it for the right reasons. It's not that they have to do tshuva to cleanse themselves, but more or less they're not really doing it for the reason for to be Christian.
So they also need to do. That's also a tshuva. They also need to do tshuva. Yeah. There's always more and more levels anyway, but your question is good because that's what we were learning. There's the tshuva that I'm doing that is basically self-centered. Okay. In other words, when I say self-centered, it means it's about me. It's about me not wanting to fry in hell. It's about me wanting to get a nice, comfortable seat in Gan Eden, and so on. It's self-centered tshuva. It's not so much about my relationship with the Rebbeinu Shalom. It is, but it's not like, wow, Rebbeinu Shalom, this is awesome. I just want to be a part of it.
But I have a question on that because, like, do you think anyone really just fears that? Like, if you're already believing that Hashem has the power to smite you or whatever you're afraid of, right? Then, like, wouldn't you realize that, like, Hashem is obviously, like, God, right? And he is there and he created this beautiful world and there is something to be done here and there's a reason why that would happen too. So wouldn't you automatically kind of come to a place where you would be like, yeah, I just want to do this?
Automatically?
Well, like, not automatically, but like kind of like reactively.
I understand what you're saying. I said that word not because I didn't understand. You would think so, but it's lav dafka.
I feel like what
That's Prina. That's Shira.
is describing is that how could love not follow up? That's really, she's saying like, how could you feel so awe-inspired that like Hashem is running the world and that we're responsible for our actions and like how, because the truth is that our soul's natural progression is to follow into love, but people don't because probably they're taught wrong.
No, it's not just that. It's there's stories in the Gemara about for example, Elisha ben Avuya was like the biggest Talmud Chacham. Menashe HaMelech was the biggest Talmud Chacham in his day, and he put golden calves into the Beis Hamikdash. Okay, now we don't even understand what that was really about. There's a story in the Gemara where two rabbis are sitting and learning one day, and they're discussing something that's difficult, and one of them says to the other, "Oh, if Menashe was around, he'd be able to explain it to us." So the Gemara says that night he has a dream. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Flex it over here.
No, I'm talking.
That night he has a dream, and King Menashe comes to him in his dream, and he gets all scared. So you know, King Menashe was the king after Chizkiyahu HaMelech. Okay. One day Hashem sends Yeshayahu to Chizkiyahu HaMelech, telling him that he's going to die. Why? Because he wasn't having children. So Chizkiyahu says to Menashe, Chizkiyahu was fit to be Mashiach. So he says to Yeshayahu, I'm not having any children because I know that I'm supposed to have a son, and this son of mine is going to kill you. Yeshayahu says, that's not your business. Okay? And he has a son, Menashe, Melech Menashe. He's the biggest Talmud Chacham of the generation. And he goes ahead and he puts golden calves into the Beis Hamikdash, and they're amazing. They're suspended in air. They can talk. Okay? I have no idea what all that means. Okay? And it's anyway, so this rabbi says to the other one, I don't remember the names, it's a story in Sanhedrin, says, oh, if Menashe would be here, he'd be able to explain this to us. So Melech Menashe comes to him at night in a dream, and he says, so who are you calling your friend? Okay, who do you think you are to refer to me just like your buddy, you know? I'm still Melech Menashe. So he's all scared. And he says, and besides, if you're such a big Talmud Chacham, Melech Menashe says to the Rav, he says, tell me, when you cut the challah, where are you supposed to make the first slice? It's a very deep question. Okay? So he doesn't know. So he says, you tell me. Please tell me. So he says, you cut it where you see the first burn mark on the challah. So the rabbi says to King Menashe, so if you're such a big Talmud Chacham, how come you were into idolatry? So Melech Menashe says to him, if you would have been alive in my time, you would have lifted the skirts of your robe, and you would have run after me in the street, and you would have grabbed me by the sleeve, and you would have begged me to take you along. Okay? That means to say that the Yetzer Hara is no, you know, the Yetzer Hara is a member of Mensa. You know what Mensa is? Like it's a club for geniuses, right?
I'm sorry.
It's okay. Now, the Yetzer Hara is always going to be there. There are a few individuals that are mentioned in our history that they say that they actually totally got rid of their Yetzer Hara.
They got rid of it, or they never had
Killed it.
David HaMelech.
David HaMelech is one. Okay?
Right?
How he did it, I don't know, but
Moses?
David HaMelech. Okay? But the Alter Rebbe says it's not necessarily your avodah to do that. And if it's not your avodah to do that, don't set that as your goal, because then you're going to just be frustrated all your life, and chas v'sholem, sometimes the Yetzer Hara comes and sucks you into dropping everything by giving you a task that is not your task. He says, oh, you're so holy, you should be on this level. Who said? Understand? If you give me, if you tell me that, if you set a goal for me that is beyond my capability, you're not my friend. You're actually setting me up for a big downfall. Okay.
Does your Yetzer Hara know that it's there because Hashem wants it to be there?
Yeah, the Yetzer Hara doesn't want to succeed.
So your Yetzer Hara is a bit more.
The Yetzer Hara is aware that he's a servant of Hashem. Yeah. The question is why is Hashem going to do away with the Yetzer Hara in the end? Well, that's I don't want to speculate that. No. Okay. I don't want to speculate right now. I don't know enough to say anything other than speculation, and it's not kedai. Okay.
They say though that David HaMelech, he starved his Yetzer Hara, like
but without needs, right?
Yeah, like if you feed it, like you give into it, then like it gets bigger and has like a bigger appetite. And if you like just are like, no, not this time, and then like all of a sudden it's getting like a little more emaciated, and like eventually it dies.
In other words, what they're saying is that, like, don't think that that I'll give into it once, and it'll be over. It's not true.
Yeah.
If there's no Yetzer Hara, what's the purpose of existence?
No, we have the Gemara says that the Anshe Knesset Agdolah prayed that God should remove the Yetzer Hara of Avodah Zarah, of idolatry, and that Hashem agreed to. So then they went ahead and they prayed that Hashem should take away the lust of sex. So they went around for 3 days and no chickens laid any eggs, and they realized that would be the end of the world. So they took that prayer back. But the tithe for Avodah Zarah was huge.
And that is what's going to be removed.
I don't know. That's already, the tithe for Avodah Zarah has pretty much been removed. And when you read in the Nevi'im, we were into Yetzer Hara wholesale. We had Yetzer Hara shopping centers. It's amazing. It's not like like Eidel had one actually. Like Jews like wholesale. Like when somebody was going into Avodah Zarah, he bought the store, he bought the shopping center. You know what I mean? But we don't understand it, and thank God we don't understand it, because we would just as easily be into it. And it was something that, you see, it's the way the Rambam explains the whole thing about Avodah Zarah is that it's really all about not wanting to give in to, not wanting to admit that you don't have control over everything in your life. So you can't control God, so you try to get involved with the ministers, so to speak, like and the agents of Hashem, so to speak, and you start getting involved with them, thinking that you can manipulate Hashem through them. So that's basically the way David HaMelech describes it. Is that, the way the Navi describes it is the whole thing of Avodah Zarah is man creating God.
That's what many religions are.
The ones that are Avodah Zarah definitely are, yeah. Okay, so let's go on. Page 304. Kol Yisrael Yafim.
Depends what you call Avodah Zarah. It could be that it's still going on if Avodah Zarah is worshiping ourselves. That's correct, Shaya. That's correct. In other words, for example, the Gemara says that Kol HaKo'ez Kilu Ovid Avodah Zarah.
If you lose your temper, it's like you're worshiping an idol. And who's the idol? Yourself. Money is an avodah zarah and so on.
But I'm the center of the universe, is avodah zarah.
It's idolatrous. I won't call it avodah zarah, it's idolatrous.
Avodah zarah means to make something
To worship something that
be
is
a focal point of one's life. That's what it is.
no. You can have a good focal point of your life. Avodah zarah is avodah that Hashem doesn't allow us. Kotzker Rebbe says, if you're doing mitzvahs and it doesn't come from your depth, but you're just doing it, it's like you feel strange with it, he calls that avodah zarah also. Avodah that is zara, that is strange to you. You understand? Avodah that is zara, right? Zar means strange. Zeir means a crown, right?
Interesting.
But the word Hebrew is the
that
most
is
significant
also-
language.
Yeah,
Hebrew is the most
also-
sophisticated language there is.
I agree with you.
Wait, what's a crown?
Zeir.
There. Oh, zero.
No, that's
No,
Zeir, that's with an
that's
I
a
in. That's
Portrait,
Aramaic.
right?
What is
Zeir, Zayin Reish. No Zir. Nezer elakav al gosho.
Isn't that how you say a nose ring there?
Nezem.
Listen, what's the connection between Zer and Zara? So there's a connection.
Because it's only the king wears a crown.
You're giving the malchut. to
You're
the
making him different
Which
from
is-
everybody else.
Like Rabbi Nachman has like a lot of stuff about that, right? Like what you're like what you like basically a person has a choice what to like give their crown to, right?
Right.
Like you can
In his
choose-
teachings on Esther.
Yeah, like you can choose to give that crown to Hashem, and like by doing that, you're basically like freeing yourself of like all human everything. Like you're putting yourself above nature. But when you're giving the crown to something like money or avodah zarah, you're like kind of stuck inside.
You're stuck in that. Yeah.
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 Interesting.
Okay. Kol Yisrael Yafim. All of Israel, every Yid is beautiful. Yesh sipur b'Gemara shekatan lizkor. There's a story in the Gemara that's worth remembering. Hasipur hazeh kashuv bi amok. This story is very deep and very deeply connected to this story. הגמרא מספרת על בחורה אחת שהגיעה לרבי ישמעאל ואמרה לו, this girl came to Rabbi Yishmael and she said to him, ישנו בחור אחד, there's this student of yours, a בחור, ואני מאוד אוהבת אותו, and I love him very much, אבל הוא אומר שאני מכוערת, but he says I'm ugly. הבחורה הייתה ענייה מרודה. The girl came from a very poor background, from poverty. והייתה מסתובבת בבלויי סחבות, and she was wearing like raggedy garments. היא לא יכלה לדאוג לעצמה, she couldn't take care of herself. תארו לעצמכם, imagine הבחורה לא מתקלחת, ולובשת סמרטוטים, she didn't shower, she was wearing shmatis, איך היא נראית? Imagine what she looked like. רבי ישמעאל קרא לאשתו הרבנית, so Rabbi Shmuel calls his wife, the Rebbitzin, ואמר לה, אנא תדאגי לבחורה הזאת, please take care of this girl. ובכן היא נשארה בבית רבי ישמעאל כמה שבועות, so she stayed in Rabbi Shmuel's house for a number of weeks, ואז רבי ישמעאל קרא לבחור ואמר לו, then Rabbi Shmuel called this בחור, and he said to him, יש לי שידוך טוב בשבילך, I have a good shidduch for you. הבחור נכנס וראה את הבחורה, הבחור came in, he saw the girl, היא הייתה ממש יפה, she was beautiful, רבי שמואל התחיל לבכות ואמר, so רבי שמואל started crying, and he said, כל יהודי כל כך יפה, every Yid is so beautiful, אלא שהעניות מכערת אותו, but it's the poverty that makes him ugly.
The word ma'achrat, that means
What?
Ella
אלא שהעניות, the poverty,
It's ugly.
מכערת אותו, makes him ugly. From the word מכוער. אין הכוונה לעניות גשמית. So if Shlomo says, make sure you understand, we're not really talking about material poverty. Bilvad, we're not talking only about material poverty. אלא גם לעניות רוחנית, we're talking about spiritual poverty.
That woman was looking for your wife. I told her I didn't know where she was.
Where is she now?
She left. Do you want me to go and get her?
You might not know where she is.
I can see. Is
Huh?
is your wife here?
She stepped out. Maybe she went looking for her. I don't know.
Oh,
Tell her to come back if you see her. Yeah.
yeah.
But don't go too far. If you don't see her.
What should I tell her? Just like come back and wait for her.
Yeah. התשובה העליונה מוציאה אותי מהעניות העצומה הזאת. Supernal tshuva takes me out of this spiritual poverty. שנשמתי נמצאת בתוכה. It takes me out of that deep poverty that my soul is in.
Would
So-
a man really tell a woman that she's ugly?
Yes.
אבל הוא אומר שאני... Would somebody really say that?
Not in Toronto.
Not everyone is politically correct.
Maybe
in North
back in the
America.
day they were a little more straight up about things like that.
No, anyway, that's not the point. Michal. Let's not get stuck on that. The point is that I told what do you see when you're looking at someone? Did you find her?
No.
Okay, so if you're good. What do you see when you're looking at someone? Do you see just their superficial appearance?
You do, don't you?
Okay, they you're right. That's the way it is for most of us most of the time. Okay, but you also have to realize that behind the surface there's a person. There's more than that. And that person could be superficially look very beautiful and could be a rotten character underneath, or a person superficially could look pretty ugly and could be the most beautiful person.
That's true.
Okay, so the thing is that, like, for example, we say in the Shema, we say there's such a thing called as shmirat ha'einayim. Be careful with what you look at with your eyes, because there's the ability to see deeply gets affected by looking at things that are not appropriate. Okay,
What does that mean?
that means that's exactly what I said. That's what it says in this forum. That if you look at things that are not sneistic, your ability to see deeply gets affected by it, gets distorted by it. And so I, one Friday years ago, a couple of the girls came in to help Judy Erev Shabbos, and this other girl who was there for the first time, she was like literally a stunning beauty. Lubavitcher girl. So I asked her, do you mind if I ask you a question, personal question? She said no. So she didn't know what I was going to ask. So I said, what's it like to be so beautiful? So she said, why do you ask? So I said, because I want to know because I imagine that most men that speak to you don't recognize that you're a person. They don't see you as a human being, right? She said that's true, but her parents, Baruch Hashem, gave her a good education and she knows how to handle it. Okay? And And there's a movie called The Hunchback of Notre Dame. It's an old movie, but it's again like this character that's a hunchback and looks like totally disgusting. And by the end of the movie, you start having compassion for the person, because you start to get to know him and so on. I mentioned already to the story that from the Gemara, it's in Masechet Avodah Zarah, the Chof, I think it is. And the story about Rabbi Elazar bar Rab Shimon. He's on his way back home to his hometown. And along the way, he's walking along the riverbank, and this man comes towards him, and he's an ugly guy, and he says, Shalom Aleichem Rebbe. You know the story? So Shalom Aleichem Rebbe. So Rabbi Elazar says to him, Reka. Reka means like you empty one. Like he looks like a really crude person. He says, is everybody in your town as ugly as you are?
Oh, I know this.
And the man says to him, why don't you tell the artisan who fashioned me that he made an ugly vessel? So Rabbi Elazar right away realizes the big avera that he just did, the big transgression. So he says, please forgive me. So he says, no, I'm not going to forgive you until you tell the one who fashioned me that he made an ugly vessel. So he starts following the man, and he can continuing to ask for forgiveness. They finally arrive at the city. There's a whole crowd coming out to greet Rabbi Elazar. They're saying, Shalom Aleichem Rebbe, Shalom Aleichem Rebbe. And the man says, whom are you calling Rebbe? And they say, oh, the man who's walking behind you. So he says, him? Halavai, there shouldn't be too many like him in Israel. And everybody's in shock. How could you talk that way? He's such a big Talmid Chacham, such a big tzaddik. So he says, that's what you think he is? This is what happened. And he tells them what happened. So they say, please forgive him, he's a big Talmid Chacham. So he says, I'll forgive him on the condition that he promises you that he won't do that too often. So Rashi says that this man was actually Eliyahu, a Navi that came down from heaven to teach Rabbi Elazar a lesson. Okay? Now the stories should be analyzed. First of all, you see that you could be a big Talmid Chacham and still get, not necessarily all the time, but for a moment, you can get hung up on like, I'm better than you, right? You can get hung up on the I'm better than you, and you're looking down at somebody, you know? And I remember the first day I went to a certain yeshiva. Some big rabbi in the yeshiva, I'm walking by his office, and he calls me over, he says, Shalom, this is my shtender, my lectern. So I said, I know. So he says, don't ever use it. He picked the right guy to tell that. Anyway, so, like, Kishin Tuchis, what are you pulling over me? Like, what are you trying to do? Like, you want to put me down? What are you trying to do? It happens. Because why does the man say, I'll forgive him on the condition that he doesn't do this too often? Why doesn't he say, let him swear that he'll never do that?
Because it's setting him up for failure. Because
you can't take such an oath. You don't know that you're never going to slip again. You don't know that. You can say, I swear that I will try never to do it again. Okay? But again, let's go back into the story. If he thought that this man was ugly, so why wasn't he willing to tell God that he created an ugly person? Because obviously it's totally ridiculous to do that, right? So what's pshat? So then why in our eyes are there people that we say, oh, this person is beautiful, but this person is beautiful, this person is ugly? The answer is that everybody is beautiful, but you have to be on the level. There are some people that unless you're on the right level, you will never see their beauty. They won't let you see their beauty if you're not on the level to see it. So just like Hashem tests you with all kinds of tests, one of the tests that Hashem tests you with also is with your eyes. What do you see? What do you see?
Can we extrapolate on that and say that we need to see our own inner beauty?
That's also true. It's not an extrapolation. It's like we have to just like you have to love yourself to be able to love another person. If you don't love yourself, don't tell me that you love another person.
I expected that answer, which is another question. Isn't that about diamond? Like
What, to love yourself?
What?
What, to love yourself?
I mean, it's difficult for me to say, that you're giving a saucy guy and you like to learn.
No. We're not talking about show. We're not showing off. Let me put it very simply the way that Tzemach Tzedek puts it. At the end of the day, somebody's offering you a really nice dessert. Okay? Do you love yourself enough that even though you didn't live up to your highest standards today, you love yourself enough that you're not going to turn down the dessert? Tell the truth. I love myself enough that I'm not going to turn down the dessert. Okay?
I wouldn't put it that way.
The Tzemach Tzedek put it that way. Okay? I love myself enough to you have enough self-love that you don't let your faults prevent you from enjoying a good dessert. That's loving yourself.
That's good.
To let yourself have dessert.
Yeah. You love yourself enough to. The way that Tzemach Tzedek puts it is in the mitzvah, he's saying that the same way that you accept yourself with your faults, right? Not that you don't want to fix them, but you accept yourself. You don't go walking around saying, I by mistake I insulted somebody. I'm not going to touch a piece of cake or have any ice cream for the next 6 months.
Isn't it good to give your
Yeah, that would be
yourself
very
those
sweet.
kinds of, you have to give your guitar a present?
No, but I'm saying, but you don't do that, right? You love yourself enough that your love for yourself allows you to love yourself even though that you know that you're not perfect. So he said, so don't be so harsh on another person. Usually with another person, I remember when you stepped on my toe, you're not getting any ice cream. Right? Type of thing.
So
And just
if you really
giving
want to
that.
have to come over, you should eat ice cream all the time because that means you'll give them ice cream all the time.
If that's the way you want to express your Ahavas Yisrael, yeah.
The more I give myself ice cream, the more
No, I didn't say more. There's such a thing that you can have like 1 spoon of ice cream and give the rest of the bucket away.
Also, to recognize that your neshama is Hashem, right?
Of course.
So it's like
It's a part of Hashem.
yeah, it's a part of Hashem. So what you love about yourself doesn't necessarily have to be,
No,
it doesn't necessarily, yeah.
You were here when we were talking about that last week, right? In other words, to be in touch with your neshama, right? Okay, so the so what kind of tshuva? This is the last line in 304, and let's finish with this, right? HATSHUVAH העליונה מוציאה אותי מהעניות העצומה הזאת. Now he's talking about not the poverty of the other person that you see as ugly, but rather your own poverty that doesn't allow you to see the beauty in another person, right? So it's that Shuvah Elyona, this higher level of tshuva, of realizing that everything that Hashem created is beautiful, right? that gets you out of this poverty. Shenishmati nimtzeit betocha. Now, if you can't see the beauty in another person, it's because you're in a state of poverty. It could also very well be, like in other words, that this guy that Rabbi Elazar saw, and when he said Reika, that this guy Taki looked and maybe was that way. But if you can't see the good in them, and if you can't see their potential, that's your poverty.
The benefit.
Ay, 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 did ay, 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 my, da, 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 my, did dum, ay, da, da, did ay, da, da, da.
So you have
La 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 la. Avinu Mamalkeinu Eilanu Melech Eilanu Melech Elotem Avinu Mamalkeinu Eilanu Melech Eilanu Melech Elotem Ay la 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 ay la 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 ay la Speaking about ice cream, so this shliach in Denver, Rabbi Sarah Bransky, tells me that before he got married, he was a chosen, so he asks his mashpia, the one who was like, in charge of the Chassidus program, he said, I noticed that every Shabbos you're in shul from 7 in the morning and that you never go home before 3 o'clock in the afternoon. How does that affect your shalom bias? So he said, if you come to shul at 9:30, 10, and you go home at 3, you're going to be in trouble. But if you go to shul at 7 o'clock in the morning and you're there till 3, it's not going to be a problem in shalom bias. She says, but I also noticed that you never go home before 10 o'clock at night. How does that affect your shalom bias? He says, for that, God invented chocolate ice cream.
So cute and funny.